RaqiSa.
In this episode of Rock Talk, we're exploring the fascinating world of the pelvic floor. We'll delve into the anatomy, share effective exercises, and discuss the importance of pelvic floor health, while touching on, let's say, relatable experiences that many of us go through. So come along as I chat with my special guest, Kelly Buss, and remember to take a moment to breathe, align, all towards a healthier pelvic floor.
And welcome to our Rock Talk today, where we talk hips, heart, and hummus. I am very excited. I have Kelly Buss joining us today. And Kelly, I want you to share a little quick snippet before we get started how we even met.
Oh my goodness. So my daughter was just born. We met during COVID lockdown. And for about the year before that, I saw your program, Rock the Bar, and I wanted to take it and couldn't match up the schedules. And then COVID lockdown happened, and all I was doing was, watching my kids at home and power pumping. So we finally got to meet during COVID lockdown online, and it was great.
Yeah, Kelly is a mother of two.
Yes.
And is an amazing, beautiful belly dancer in her own right. She's also a certified group exercise fitness professional and a nurse by profession, right? Tell us a little bit about your field in nursing, where you've kind of been doing most of your practice.
Yes. Yeah. So I've spent 15 years in corporate wellness. So I spent years at the bedside. I did rehab. Physical rehab was my favorite because people were getting better enough to go home. So I've always been focused in the wellness aspect of everything that I do. Before COVID, I did a lot of corporate wellness. So wellness at work, weight loss, biometrics. I've worked with bariatrics and done health coaching for that kind of activity and that kind of weight loss. And now I'm in the workers' comp realm where I help take care of the people who take care of the people. So I'm always focused on the preventative and the wellness aspect, no matter what I do.
Yeah, corporate wellness, for those who are listening, is a great field. I do work for Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, but I am not a nurse, so I know very well how important Kelly's job is in really kind of preventative medicine in many ways. I so appreciate you being on, because we want to talk about the pelvic floor today.
Yes.
And the pelvic floor, because we both love belly dancing so much and we love fitness, is a really, really important part of our anatomy. So let's just start off, Kelly, with what is the pelvic floor exactly? Help our audience know.
So most people think the pelvic floor is like one or two sets of muscles that are responsible for a Kegel. That is a big misunderstanding. So there's actually 14 muscles. And there's ligaments, and there's tendons, and there's nerves. So if you want to think of it, all of that together, it forms like a hammock or a sling. And that sling is responsible for your reproductive area, your urinary system, and your digestion. So that little sling is responsible for a lot that goes on in our body. And it changes as we age. So with weight loss, with weight gain, with pregnancy, with our posture, and with our breathing. And then when your hormones change with perimenopause, it changes again. So a lot of us, we don't think about it until there's a problem. And there's lots of preventative things that we can do, and exercises and questions you can ask your doctor. And as you can tell, I love to talk about it. So I'm really excited to dive in.
I just love that already. A lot of people don't realize that we can actually empower ourselves way ahead of the game by understanding exactly what you were saying. It's responsible for a lot more than we realize. It's not just doing your Kegels at pregnancy, which I certainly tried to do, by the way. That was very hard, I realized. But I'm really interested in the variety of seasons of our lives that it can actually affect us. So you were talking about the pelvic floor and breathing. And I know a lot of times with Pilates, there's a lot of pulling the navel in, drawing the pelvic floor up, and it's assisted in many ways with breathing. Why would that even be important?
Oh, I love it. Thank you for this question. Okay, so I can't really show you because I'm sitting here, but I want you to think about your diaphragm is right under our ribs, right? Our diaphragm. And the bottom of that area is that sling or that hammock, that pelvic floor. And so when you breathe in and your diaphragm rises, your pelvic floor responds. So it creates kind of like, not I want to say suction, but they work together. They work in synchronicity, right? When the diaphragm goes up, this has to respond.
Wow.
So if we're not breathing correctly, even all day, every day, if we're sitting hunched in our chair, or if we're, like my kids on their phone, if we're not breathing deeply with our diaphragm, our pelvic floor has nothing to respond to and it becomes more rigid. And then we have other problems down the line, and we don't realize that it's our posture or our breathing or the way that we're standing. I am so guilty of this. I've had two C-sections. I've lost 100 pounds 3 times, and I will still stand forward with my hips way forward ahead of the rest of me just because my body is used to having to push out a larger abdomen. It's just my posture. It's like a swing back or a sway back. Go ahead.
No, that's really, really, really interesting.
And I do it out of habit, so I have to retrain myself. And I'll catch myself. I'll look down. I'm like, I'm standing pretty goofy. And I know when I'm standing goofy, I'm not breathing right, which is once again going right to my pelvic floor. Pelvic floor also connects to jaw issues and flat feet. So if you have any of those, I've got a lot of exercises and energy techniques. It's like a chain, how they all three connect. So
Amazing.
so my main message to that is look at your posture. Are you relaxing your pelvic floor? Number one, most of us are tightening it most of the time. And are you letting your diaphragm actually move so that your pelvic floor will learn to move in congruence again?
Well, that's interesting. You were saying most of us are tightening it.
Yes.
What's the
So
difference between tightening and releasing?
So there's actually two kinds of Kegels. There's the regular Kegel and the reverse Kegel, right?
Ooh.
And yes, and so there's a statistic, I think 60% of doctors don't describe how to do a Kegel correctly, right? So there's lots of misinformation, and there's so many things that you can do and read now, and there's so much more information is so much more readily available about this. When I started my first company, my whole goal was to create a culture where my daughter, when she grows up, she can talk about her pelvic floor health, like with her girlfriends, and they know what to do if they have problems. Like that is honestly my goal here. Um, the Kegel, sorry, I got sidetracked.
Yeah, no,
So
that's very good. Very good.
most of us tighten in response to, in my personal opinion, it is from trying to look thinner and suck in our gut. You
Ooh.
know, yes, I was taught that early. I learned that from society or from the people I was around. Suck it in, Kelly. Look thinner, suck it in. And so as a response, we kind of suck in our pelvic floor too, right? So it's not necessarily that it's weak. It's that it's sometimes just too tight. And so when I work with clients, and these are things that pelvic um, fitness professionals in general should know, that we can teach our clients, hey, relax your pelvic floor right now, because chances are you're tightening it. And we usually tighten it when we're thinking of something or we're trying to figure out what the instructor's trying to tell us to do when we're really focused on a task. It's like, oh no, just relax it. And that is the reverse Kegel, where you actually let those muscles just relax.
This is so if you're listening to this on the treadmill or out for a walk and you cannot see my face, I've got like my wheels turning right now because this is very interesting for me. Okay, so because we teach belly dance, I'm often teaching in preparation to protect our lower back, to pull the navel in towards the spine and to pull the pelvic floor up.
Which
Am
is
I
great.
am I actually creating an area, a overly tightened
You know
pelvic
what? You would
floor?
know unless you would only know that in a personal training environment. I think that's a very safe cue for a group fitness format for generally healthy people.
Yeah.
You're drawing awareness to it. You can also add moments of, okay, hey, relax your pelvic floor. In case you're tightening it, go ahead and relax your pelvic floor. And that sounds kind of weird, but I will tell you, I used to teach a class in person. It was called Pilates for pelvic floor. And when I started using that cue, women would go, oh, you're right. And I only used that cue when I noticed it in myself. So at
Yeah.
bare minimum, I was at least cueing myself. But the women in the room were like, I didn't even realize. I didn't
Yeah.
even realize till you said that.
Now
Same
that's
break.
interesting because in belly dancing, it is a rhythm of engaging and releasing to get the belly roll. And I think maybe I do it more instinctively and naturally than I give
Right.
myself credit for because I am trained in belly dance. But that's a great way to remind our students, if you're an instructor or if you are listening and this is just something that you're like, maybe I need to check this out for myself. I appreciate that. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Almost something I might want to dive deeper into. So if you're listening and you have any questions, keep asking some questions for us because this is great conversation.
Thank
All
you.
right, we were talking about varying stages in our life where we can expect as women. You were talking about weight gain,
Yes.
having lost weight.
Yes.
You were talking about if you've had children, things like that. Expand a little bit more. Any thoughts on that? You were mentioning ways of keeping it healthy as well that
Yes.
I think are going to be very helpful for our
Yes.
audience.
So I've learned all of this myself personally from not being proactive. And that's part of the reason why I'm so passionate about this subject. I started having issues with my own pelvic floor about maybe 6 months or so before, or a year before I had my daughter. Most women have issues for 6 years before they ask their doctor. And when they have perimenopause symptoms, and we're not talking about that yet, it's usually 11 doctor's visits before they start getting treatment. So this is why I'm so passionate about education about this subject. So when we're abdominal surgery, like gallbladder surgeries, any kind of abdominal surgery can also cause problems. You're moving organs, you know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
there's healing and swelling. So different stages of our lives. I feel like we're having that period talk when you're 10. Your body's going to change, but it does.
Yeah.
And it changes forever. And so I think by the time we get used to our body, we go through another cycle of changing. It's just part of being a woman. I'm learning this. But the general Kegel, the one that you think of, I like to talk about it as an elevator. Bring it up to 1, bring it up to 2, bring it up to 3, drop it to the basement. And when you drop it to the basement, that's your reverse Kegel. That's something that any woman can do. And as a fitness professional, we can be doing that in our classes just on its own. How is your breathing? Are you breathing deep? Just a reminder.
Okay, whoever's listening right now, sorry to interrupt you. Did you just do that with Kelly, the elevator? Because I did. I was just like, okay, I'm 1, now I'm 2, oh, I'm 3, and I just dropped it down.
Awesome.
I love that cue. I love it. That's awesome.
Thank you. You can do your own reading. There's several books. Get a book by a good doctor or MA or physical therapist. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
This is something we should all know and all have access to. It shouldn't be taboo, or you shouldn't feel shamed to ask these kinds of questions. We should have that autonomy and sovereignty over our body. We deserve that, and so do our children.
Kelly, we love belly dancing, and we love it for varying reasons, and we've taught it to a variety of students, and I think that we can agree that a lot of our students come really for the simple fact that they do want to have permission to move their body freely.
Yes.
And they know it's a safe dance space where they can really feel like they are empowered and encouraged to move the pelvis and just to have a sense of this whole total body awareness. Mm-hmm. So, let's ask another question. What other types of things that you think can help inform and educate on how to keep healthy? I think you were mentioning some surprising ways that I personally, because I'm going to be totally honest after this, Kelly, please go.
Okay, so it's not my favorite list, but I'm telling you the truth. So number one thing that we can do to keep our pelvic floor healthy on a daily basis, besides Kegels, if that's right for you, would be staying hydrated. All right, so when we talk about staying hydrated, we're talking about drinking enough water, and we've all heard the statistic, 8-ounce glasses of water a day. I'm not here to tell you what number that is. 2 to 3 liters is a good average of water a day, but staying hydrated will let your bladder just relax so it doesn't affect everything else along the pelvic floor chain. Makes sense, right?
Totally.
When you're talking about hydration, though, what can affect the bladder? Our favorite thing in the world, caffeine. So we're talking about, coffee, and wine and alcohol, which is usually when people turn me off.
Yeah.
In moderation. If it's affecting you, if it's causing you to go to the bathroom too much, that could also cause problems with your pelvic floor. So they're all related. And sometimes some people it doesn't affect them, but the bottom line is if you're having some urinary issues, that would be the first thing to start cutting out before you pursue other avenues.
To be honest, it's yet another reason to really focus on eating an anti-inflammatory diet, something that is super healthy. And I'm really speaking to those who might be in the same season in life I am right now, and that's I'm in the perimenopause phase,
Mm-hmm.
and I have already noticed for sure any type of alcohol, even just cutting that out, because I'm not going to give up coffee, but I can do that in moderation. And I do love spicy foods. I'm not saying that that's bothering me, but definitely keeping hydrated and just, eliminating alcohol, for sure limiting it big time. I can already tell a difference. The other thing I want to maybe remind everyone is with the perimenopause phase is I'm sweating more. I'm losing water more. So I think you were talking about everyone's intake of water is different. And I think you're right, because a lot of it depends on how much you're actually perspiring.
Right.
And losing, because I'm like, what the heck? This is all new. But I don't think it's anything that we should be upset with or bummed about. It's happened throughout antiquity. It's nothing new as far as nature's
our moms
concerned.
didn't talk about it. That's the problem. Our moms didn't talk about it, so it might be new to us,
right?
But we can create that community so that we can support each other.
Right. I totally agree. It's much more, and I talk about it already with my daughter, and I know you're going to be talking about it with your daughter, so we're already ahead of the game for sure. But that's very interesting about hydrating. It plays a crucial part, as well as coffee and alcohol. So for those who are listening, I'm wondering what you're willing to give up or what you're not willing to give up, and if you've noticed any changes in this as well. All right, full transparency. I like to think that I am doing my Kegels, or I have done them. I like to think that I'm really pulling my abs in and engaging when I do any type of full body roll in my group exercise classes. But yours truly, I literally have almost felt my bladder and uterus and rectum, especially the rectum, prolapsed. And I'm like, oh my word, Soraya. And I'm the teacher. And I've got the microphone. And I'm like guiding, and I'm like thinking in my head, pull it in, Soraya, pull it up, pull it in. You know what I mean? And so it's a fact. It happens to everyone. Even though I think I have done my part, it's okay that you may discover that you still have more work to do.
Absolutely. And so we want to think about creating a healthy routine before we have a problem, So if you're listening to this and you're in your 20s or early 30s, maybe now is a great time to create a little 5-10 minute Kegel daily routine. You've got it, keep it that way, right? When you're looking at, pregnancy, I did a lot of bridges when I was pregnant, and it was actually to protect my knee and my hip because I was having so much knee pain. I was 250 pounds when I gave birth to both of my kids. My body couldn't take it. But then the knee pain was causing the hip pain, which was causing the pelvic floor issues, so it's all connected. One thing that I find fascinating too is we're looking at perimenopause. We can have, or menopause too. I kind of combine them because once you have perimenopause, you know where you're going, right? It's not to sound terrible, but it's not going to get any better if you don't do anything about it once you hit this certain point. It's just the way our bodies are designed. So there are natural things that you can do. Coconut oil is a wonderful moisturizer and lubricant without having to ask your doctor for some prescription, without having to talk to anybody about it. There are lots of natural things that we can do just to promote our own health in general.
Tell me more about that. You put it on externally?
So that would be like an internal moisturizer that you can use, or a lubricant.
Oh.
Instead of going to the store and standing in front of the aisle, a whole bunch of things, and trying to find the most pH balanced or whatever, you know what I mean? You're looking at all these things that all have all these chemicals in them. And if you're going to your doctor with perimenopausal symptoms, they might give you an estradiol cream. That's a prescription, and that's fine. And there's very great benefit to that. But if you're only having some symptoms, my doctor actually recommended coconut oil, which surprised me because I'm like, I do have that already.
And it's safe to do?
Yeah, it's just some people put coconut oil on their hair so their hair is nice and shiny.
Yeah.
So it works in many ways. I can tell I'm like blowing your mind right now.
If you're watching this, you can see my expression, and if you're not watching, I can assure you that I am really totally intrigued, which brings me to my other point. This was a taboo subject. I couldn't ask my mom. So Kelly's educating me on things. I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't
It's okay. I'm a nurse. I'll take the weight of that uncomfortable brunt of that conversation. It's fine. I'm a nurse. I can talk to you about it. I tell my kids, I'm like, I'm a nurse. I can't lie to you, right? Like, I got to tell you the truth.
I so appreciate you saying that. And you guys, some of you may or may not know this. My daughter Lily is in nursing school. She just did her white coat ceremony, and I have been totally honest with her. I'm like, Lily, you're actually teaching me things, you know, because they were a lot kind of taboo subjects and things like that. My mother was the most perfect mother. Please know that. But I remember when I asked her, Mom, I understand that like when your water broke can indicate when my water might break.
Oh,
when I was pregnant
I've never heard that before.
Right. I had heard that. And so I asked my mom, and she said, we don't talk about that. So just so you know, that's a little bit of what my background was. And I think that, you know, I never felt shamed about my body. My mom actually, in actuality, my mom always told me how beautiful my body was and my figure. She was very, very body loving. But when it came to actual certain parts of the anatomy, it just wasn't, culturally, it just wasn't something that was a part of the conversation, you know, and I think that there are times we can overshare. There's oversharing, right? Yes. But then there's just, you know, like normal conversations. And I like to think this is a part of a normal conversation.
I would like it to be a normal conversation. You know, this is where healing starts, is when we can share and learn from each other. When you keep things behind a wall of shame is when problems happen.
All right, so this is another question that actually my sister asked. Ooh. I was sharing with my family that I'm going to be talking about the pelvic floor today. And so she said, well, ask her about jumping up and down on what we used to call a trampoline, but they call it rebounding nowadays. Yes. And so that was a fun question that she asked. So let's talk about jumping up and down, because honestly, jumping jacks, jumping up and down, things have changed, especially perhaps if you've had 2 kids, and from what you said, sometimes gaining and losing weight. Yes. Are there variables in our lives? Let's talk about that. What do you think?
We used to say no jumping, right? And I remember when I first started teaching group fitness, I was 18 years old. I couldn't wait to turn 18 so I could get my certification. Like, that's my story, right? I had women in my class. I'm not jumping. I've had 2 kids. I'm 18 and I have no life experience yet. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, now I get it, right? But rebounding is a great way. It takes a lot of the impact out, but you still get the benefit of bouncing, which, believe it or not, is great for our lymphatic system, which means it's good for our immune system. It's a wellness thing, for lack of a better phrase. And you can also get a similar reaction, believe it or not, with tapping. So I don't know if you can see, like, just tapping on your body. Yeah. That's part of Qigong. So you can tap all over your body. You can also do your legs. You know, your legs are considered like a second heart. They've got that pump in depends on where you're from. I'm going to call it the soleus muscle, but you might know it as the soleus. Right. But, you know, it works as like a second heart in your calves. So when you're bouncing, it is so good for your entire body to just kind of get that movement. Now, when it comes to how long to do that for, I would look up a specialized resource. I'm not super familiar with it, but it's a great activity for your pelvic floor and your overall wellness as well.
And I think that if you're really challenging yourself to enjoy pelvic floor health, you know, setting yourself up for success with doing some exercises, you know, before and during any type of jumping exercises, I think is going to be probably helpful as well. And that leads me into shimmies, because we were talking about the whole body moving and rapidly with kind of the lymphatic system also kind of everything wakens up and gets moving. Is that true, would you say?
It is, yes, because we're moving the body, and especially like a fast little movement. So if you think of when I coach a regular shimmy, I tell everybody, hey, remember those old school stair mills at the gym where it went like this? It was like those 2 little levers that went like this. It was before we had like real stair mills. Just everybody pretend you're on one of those, get your heels going, and then add your hips. And so we're getting our heels moving, we're pumping.
Right.
And so it's the same motion, similar to the rebounder with the shimmy, except the motion is more in the hips than, you know, maybe in the feet and the knees. It's fantastic for your whole body.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for answering that. Tanya, that was for you. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about She Moves Freely and how people can really continue to learn from you.
Thank you. So with She Moves Freely, I do a combination of belly dance classes, group fitness classes, Pilates, a lot of education on pelvic floor, and then I combine it with energy work. I've been an energy healer for years, and so I combine them all into one because I don't have time to do them all separately. So I've kind of created my own format that involves all of those. So you can get in and get out and get your workout in and move through all those feelings and emotions at the same time.
But Kelly is certified to teach Rock the Bar. So
Yeah.
just so you know, I think that that's great. And then tell us about somatics.
Yeah, so dance somatics is a class that I'm developing right now, and it's you might hear that word starting to be used more often. And basically, in the energy work world, we say that we store issues in our tissues. That's why if you get a massage, you might feel emotional at a certain point when they're working through something. We say for years that we store issues in our tissues, and or we stay too much in our head, and we can't really work through a problem until we physically move our body. That's why when I worked in corporate wellness, I would tell people if you're stuck on a project, go for a 10-minute walk, you'll figure out the answer. When our body moves, we move through different patterns, and we close the hormonal cycle, if you want to use it that way, but we create resolution in our body, and then the answers come, right? So with dance somatics is a way of dancing, but also working through emotions. Soraya, we mentioned shimmies. Shimmies are a great way to move your body and release held emotions, especially in our pelvis. It's an area we haven't even talked about, that where we store many different kinds of emotion and experiences. So with dance somatics, you're looking at a little bit of energy work, a little bit of dance, stretching, and just a great workout that you enjoy.
That honestly, that's just fantastic. That I want to take your class. I think that's
Thank
fantastic. All right, everyone. I want to say a special thank you to Kelly for joining us. And Kelly, would you like to come back again and have a little more rock talk?
Oh, I would love to. Please, if we want to talk about perimenopause, menopause, belly dance, body positivity, I am here for it.
Awesome. So for those who are listening, if you have any questions for Kelly specifically, or any topics that you would like us to talk about in the future, we certainly welcome that. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a happy, hip, heart, healthy day. RaqiSa.